Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It took quite some time for me to upload this review for the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV because I really want to put this bad boy to the test. I've been using this device for the past 6 months now, and I've been quite surprised with what Sony has to offer. I'll be dividing this review to the things I hate, to the things I love, and if this bad boy is still worth it for the 2023 considering that Sony Mark 1 5 is just around the corner. Now let's begin with the unboxing. To start, unboxing of the device is fairly straightforward with only the phone and the manuals inside the box. But hey, I'm not mad. I purchased the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV to a third party since Sony is not officially selling their phones here in Canada. So I hope they'll come back someday because we badly need another phone manufacturer here for some varieties of choices. Actually, after holding the phone, the 21:9 aspect ratio is such beauty to hold on to and such beauty to look at too. To tell you honestly, this color purple looks impressive. It's classy and surprisingly looks unisex. I don't think others would say that this is too girly, or I don't know, maybe that's just me. I just really find the color quite stunning. I chose the purple color as I find this one quite unique but not overly eye-catching. So now let's go to the hardware design. I know some people would say that the design is already outdated, but for me the design seems to be never get old. As most devices right now are bigger and wider, the aspect ratio gave me a breath of fresh air amidst of phones that somewhat looks the same. The design is also a conversation starter. It's been quite a long time since I had a phone where a random stranger would ask me like, "What phone is that?" Those were the days when I was still using BlackBerry, but now Sony seems to be the new attention grabber. As promised, I'm not gonna bore you with hardware specs, but here are some of the key features of the device. The device is powered by Gen 1 Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset with new improved 12 megapixel selfie camera, which I kind of love. And there are three 12 megapixel camera for ultra wide, for wide angle, and for telephoto with true optical zoom, and an impressive 4K HDR OLED 120Hz refresh screen and a 5000 mAh battery. In addition, I also purchased this stand cover from Sony. This is an OEM color that is purple in color as well. So I will be using this together with the phone. So looks lovely and feels good. Looks like a quality kind of plastic. Now let's dive a little bit deeper. So like I said, I've been using this device for almost 6 months now, so I wanted to start this review with what I hate most, as I love discussing the good stuff later in this review. First on my list is the overheating issues. So I experience this personally whenever I take videos. And I usually play volleyball and take 4 to 5 videos of our games that takes like about 15 to 20 minutes. Despite of turning off some of the features and put the video on full HD, I still experience the overheating warning that prompted the screen and sadly stops the video. But then this is an inconsistent problem. After the Android 13 update, I haven't been experienced any overheating warning when I'm taking videos. Probably Sony was able to fix this. Who knows? Only time will tell. Moving on to the next thing that I hate most is the battery life. The battery lasts for about a day. If I start my day at 6 a.m., the device requires charging around 7 to 8 p.m. It's not bad, but it's not good either because this is with 120Hz screen refresh rate is off. Yes, the 120Hz screen is off. Sadly, with the higher refresh rate on, it only lasts for about 7 to 8 hours of usage and requires charging before 5 p.m., at least in my usage. This becomes my problem as sometimes some of my friends invites me after 5 p.m. and my Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV badly needs a charge during those times. The last thing that I hate most is the random restarting. Well, I honestly don't know if this is just an isolated incident, but I've been experiencing a random reboot. And I don't know what triggers it. Sometimes when I'm driving and my car is connected, it restarts. Sometimes when the phone is just lying there and charging, it will restart. It's so random that I can't tell what triggers them. But one thing I'm sure is that it happens to me once or twice, and that's a little bit disappointing. Enough with the bad stuff. Let's now focus on the good stuff. First in my list is the hardware design. I already mentioned how I fell in love and how I find the minimalist design cues wonderful. I love the color and the 21 by 9 aspect ratio. This is one of the few phone devices I really adorn. It feels good, it looks good, and it's just it's just lovely to hold on to. The next thing I love about this device is the vanilla Android experience. The software performance reminds me of my good old Pixel 7 Pro. My Sony Xperia is currently running the Android 13, and it's even better as some of the features from Pixel are now usable, like the Magic Eraser. The everyday use is quick, fast, and simple, just like how I wanted it to be. No hidden features that I never thought existed. It's quite lovely to use this in an everyday use. Next on my list is how Sony works with their Sony headphones. The ecosystem of Sony is not trying to lock you down in their branding. Instead, they make their headphones sound surprisingly even better. I learned this because I used to use my S22 Ultra with my Sony MX4 earbuds and the MX5. Don't get me wrong here, they sound phenomenal. But when I started to use my Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, the change is subtle but noticeable. As a fan of, I'm not really an expert, I'm not a pro when it comes to music, but I am a music enthusiast. And when I started to use this phone, there is a noticeable change. The sound becomes wider and richer, and the tonality, although the tonality seems to be unchanged, the sound is much better than I expected. It's better when I was using the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 4 than my S22 Ultra. I just honestly appreciate how Sony was able to improve their Sony headphones that are already phenomenal on its own when you started to use this phone. Another thing that I really love about this device is its feature they call dynamic vibration. I thought that this feature is just a gimmicky back then, but then when I tried this one out, I was actually quite surprised. A lot of people will argue that this seems to be a nonsense, but I tried this out of curiosity. Watching intense series such as Game of Thrones, Perry Mason really adds up some intensity on the scenes. And for those people who don't know the dynamic vibration, it vibrates your phone in a different ways when watching movies or listening to music. One good thing that adds up is that when I turned on the dynamic vibration, I totally forgot that they were on. And that really adds up in the experience and the intensity of the scenes. So this is really good when you love watching on your phone on a subway or when you were in the bus. It really puts you close to what you were watching. Although when listening to music, it's fun if you are holding your phone. But then in my case, I don't really like hold my phone when I'm listening to music. But if you are that kind of person who love to dance on your music while holding your phone, then you would definitely enjoy the dynamic vibration. Another thing that I really love when I was using this phone is the gaming experience. I just realized how wide and uncomfortable my phones back then, that it hurts whenever I play long periods of time, that I was forced to adapt. And I love playing MOBA games. And for long periods of gaming, the phone can get a little bit warm, but it's somewhat the same with my S22 Ultra. But the one feature that I really love that Sony implemented is the battery care. When you were gaming and you decided to charge your phone would use the power coming off from your charging brick and not from your battery. This would result to a cooler temperature when gaming, as well as your battery won't be able to wear down easily. They call this feature heat suppression feature that can be found on the game enhancer button on your screen while playing game. Last but not the least is the 21:9 aspect ratio and the OLED screen. It looks so natural and it looks so good. Although I'm currently using a matte screen protector, it can look a bit reflective, but that's just because I'm using a matte screen protector. But in person, it's actually really good. Next thing that I'd like to talk about is the camera. So the camera can be a hit or miss. Sometimes it gives you wonderful shots. Sometimes it can be a little bit okay, especially if it is a gloomy day. But one thing that I really love here is how Sony was able to render their colors. I love how they were able to capture the scenery of the shot, and that is kind of rare nowadays because some of the manufacturers tend to brighten up their shots. Another thing that I also admire with Sony is their video capabilities. I somewhat feel, probably this is subjective, I somewhat feel that the video coming from Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV is a little bit more dramatic compared to my S22 Ultra. And this is evident when I'm taking a slow-mo video. The 4K slow-mo capability is wonderful. Like, it's so dramatic and it's really, really good. And I hope that Sony would continually improve this ability in their future devices. Now, to wrap this up, is the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV still worth it for 2023? Well, Xperia 1 Mark V is just around the corner. I believe that Sony will be doing an event this coming May, and I think that would be Xperia 1 Mark IV, 1 Mark V, I should say. And am I going to recommend this to others? Maybe. If you want a phone that performs well in day-to-day basis, has a unique aesthetic with basic yet functional features, and badly need an upgrade right now, then probably you should consider this device because this device is currently on sale too. So, but then if you want a phone that has the fanciest feature that comes with it and best-in-class camera auto mode, then this is not the phone for you. But in my case, in my usage, I really enjoy this phone. This gives me a sense of contentment in most of my usage. This is like a Pixel phone wraps in a different body minus the AI camera capability. The simple vanilla Android experience, the uniqueness of the design and the stereo speakers, the dynamic vibration that I never thought that I would enjoy, the added layer of better sound delivery when using Sony headphones, these are enough for me to stay. Canada is quite boring when it comes to selection of phones. I'll keep my Sony phone for now. Maybe I'll get the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V or maybe the Pixel 8 Pro at the end of this year, who knows. But I'm glad and thankful that I got my piece with my Xperia 1 Mark V. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy my long-term review of my Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV. Have a great day.